Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni, and with me today, Sharon Okun. Hi, Sharon. So lovely to have you here.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So, tell me, today's conversation is about ultimate healing for abundance and joy. Tell us a little bit about you and about that. Let's get started.
What a beautiful conversation. Abundance and joy. Uh, my background is that I've been a licensed massage therapist and life coach for the last 25 years. I help women untangle, I like your untangle healing, traumas from their bodies so that they can move forward really to reach their goals, so that they can have some freedom of movement in their bodies and their minds and their souls, so that they can have some joy and they can embrace abundance. What's so fascinating in this world is that we aren't just our minds and we aren't just our bodies. We are this whole unit. And it's just wonderful to work our mindset around that to create joy in our bodies.
Right. So basically, what I'm hearing you saying that you use. So you're still doing this massage therapy, right? You're still working with women in this way.
Yes, so I've tailored my work a little more on the gentle side of healing. So I do more uh, energy healing. I do more wellness coaching through a technique called body wisdom. So it's sort of a way to uh, go to the parts of the body that hurt. So I do similar work to you, um, where the goal is to release pain from the body. So I do it through the body wisdom technique, through guided imagery, and yes, I hold bodies. So basically, what my work at this point, everybody's clothed. Like I'll hold their feet or I'll hold their heads just to feel like they're grounded and safe in their bodies, because that's my ultimate goal, is to have them feel grounded, to help calm their nervous system. Because that's another thing, if your nervous system or your monkey mind is racing, it's really hard to heal.
Right. So, so what what I understand that you're saying is that basically, yes, we are storing our emotions and our traumas and grief in our bodies, and then with your online methods, but also with your massage therapy business, you are helping people to bring that into the surface and clear them in a sense.
Correct. Yeah. And I actually do it live, and I also do it online. So I'm able to do this guided imagery online with people. And I also incorporate principles of traditional Chinese medicine. So if people are really activated and they can't seem to calm their nervous system down, or the mind is racing, I I say, for instance, here's a point on the camera. Here's a very helpful acupuncture point. It's
Hmm.
large intestine 4. Hold on to that point. If you can't figure out how to do any of this guided imagery, just find your body wisdom points. So if today you only know how to hold that point, just hold it.
Hmm.
It's such a healing thing to heal our bodies, to hold our own bodies. And then another thing along that line is heart one. So heart is, I'll do it on this point. Heart one is under the armpit,
Hmm.
and it's a very healing point. So I have people just gently either tap or just hold. So I'm going to move this way. So then now they're holding their heart one points under their armpits, and they're also giving themselves a healing hug. And this is really helpful at night when people can't sleep, because sometimes you can't do this fancy acupuncture point, touching your feet or whatever. You're in bed laying down. This is so simple. Put your fingertips in your armpits, and now you're giving yourself a hug. You're holding space for yourself, and those points actually relax your body. They're part of the traditional Chinese medicine, the meridians.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you go to an acupuncturist, it is those same meridians.
Right. So I love that. I love this notion, of course, that you don't have to you don't have to touch the body. You don't have to get inside of that. You have all of these representative points in your body that when you find them and you touch them, you actually release or bring to the surface things that are kind of locked within. And that sounds really fascinating for me. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but I also want to talk a little bit about the visualization that you mentioned, because I hear this so much. I knew this one guy, for example. He was telling us that he had a brain tumor, and he instantly knew that the brain tumor was a gift, that it was meant to bring a lesson and a guidance to his life. And basically he really was able to recognize that he was basically too much in his head. And so he did this guided visualization, and he was able to really shrink this tumor down. And now there's a tiny little bit there, but it's not interfering with anything. And to me, this is so powerful and so profound. So I'd love to hear more about how you do it and how you guide people through that.
Right. So for the example of the person that you were talking to, so visualize the brain tumor. The first thing, to make it easy to sort of calm that tumor down and the tissues around it, feel like the tumor has a breath, like you're attaching a nose to the tumor so that it is breathing, it's live, but it's also a healing thing. So our breath is so healing and powerful. And if that's too scary, then have the nose go to the rest of the parts of the brain. So literally visualize a nose on your brain, and
Mhm.
it's breathing in, breathing love and joy, and breathing out some of the toxins that are from the tumor. And so you do that a few times, the brain sort of the rest of the brain is holding space for that tumor. Um, and then as you go on, you could, ask the brain, does it, is there any colors coming from the area? And again, you could do the fringes. So the safe way of doing this exercise, when it's the actual organ that is having issues. Sometimes it's scary to go right into the pain of whatever that issue is. Whether you're, like say you have a heart condition, to go right to that heart condition, that might be scary. So you go surrounding the heart condition, and you hold space. So visualize sort of a light around that tumor or the other tissues that are in the brain, and speak to those tissues. Like, do you want to say a message to the brain tumor? And I keep bringing up the brain tumor because that's the example you gave.
Mhm.
So the healthy tissues of the brain, does it have a message? Does it does it want to say something to the tumor? Is there any colors that come up? Are there any types of visuals in your mind? So a lot of times when there is a significant issue, they'll people will see, something solid, like a piece of metal
Mhm.
or a rock, or something that is dark and scary. So, you talk to that dark and scary piece of who you are, and what do you have? What questions do you have for me? How can I hold space for you? Um, is there a temperature? Is there, like I said, a color? Um, and then, you have a conversation with each part of your body that's struggling. So sometimes the message is, uh, just give me space. Like, I don't want to change. I am the brain tumor. The brain tumor is talking to me. I don't want to change. Can you just hold space for me? Can you make a little room for me to be who I am? Um, it's scary, and I don't want to change, and I don't know how to change. And just allowing whatever happens in your body space to exist, because our society is always saying, if you got something wrong with you, fix it. Regular medicine will go after it. They'll cut out the tumor. But maybe the tumor's message is, I don't want to be fixed or torn away. I just want to be held. I want to have a space to be whole and comforted, maybe put a blanket around the tumor. Um, and then just give a message to the tumor that the tissues around that, or the heart, because maybe there are parts of the body that are very strong. So maybe there's a light in the heart. Maybe the heart can bring up some light to the tumor and
Mm.
just surround the tumor with light. You work with different parts of the body to support wherever the issues are. And when you're not working with the conscious mind, when you're working with the unconscious mind, which guided imagery is, it allows you to free up space to be creative in healing your own body.
I love this. And as you're talking, I kind of had a very strong notion of how different this is from most of our lives. When we like, I'm not feeling well, I have to go to the doctor, I have to go to the hospitals, and the neon lights and the noise and the rush and all of that. And all of a sudden, when you're talking, is actually, it's practically the opposite. It's actually going within and not being influenced by all of this outside noise, basically. So I really felt that so strongly. Tell me a little bit, how did you get into all of this? What brought you onto this part of your story?
So I grew up with, my brother was severely autistic, and when I was with him, and he would get agitated, I would rub his back, and it seemed to settle him and calm him. And so whatever thoughts that he was having could come to the surface, and he could say, um, one of the biggest things that he said, we were at a restaurant. He said, "Let's just say a prayer for the hostages in Iran." So this is a long time ago. Okay, you know, uh, and I realized that our body is so wise if we just give it space and time and love, and we value each other. I really valued him. He was my first teacher as a healer. So, as happens with most people on their journey, you go in a wrong direction. So, he was my first teacher, my first healing teacher. And then it was a lot having a brother with significant needs. And I lived in the Midwest. So, I moved to New York City to go to college. Um, I thought I was it was 1983. I thought I was gonna be a successful businesswoman wearing business suits and, I was going to conquer the world. Um, and every time and I did that. I got my degree in marketing, and I would go into meetings. But what really was the best way to be successful is getting to know people on a heart to heart level. So when I sat there at a meeting, I was the only sales rep in my company that would actually listen to their life story. What motivates them? What are their struggles? I don't think that people out in the executive world ever interact that way. They don't talk that way to each other. It's all me, or go, go, go. And so I was like, no, I want to get to know you. And I look at around the room, and I would see pictures of their children or pictures of loved ones or the type of art that they enjoyed. And I would interact with them on that level. And so then I was like, you know what? There's something more to this.
Mhm.
I have an ability to um, bring out abundance and joy in their world in a different way. And so, as is the story with most healers, I felt like something was missing in my life. And so I left my sales career, and I went to massage school in New York in 1997. And I then became a licensed massage therapist. And I felt that was my calling, helping people with their physical ailments. But the best part of my job is getting to know people, listening to their stories. Um, and so beyond just doing the physical hands-on work, the the I would feel something in the room. Every time I work on somebody, I'd feel this energy in the room. And I just sort of wanted to work with that. And so I started to do more training in energy healing, and then I brought back some of the skills I learned in massage school. Traditional Chinese medicine is something that really speaks to me. So I started really following that. So in massage school, I learned shiatsu massage, but I also learned uh, the basics of acupuncture. So I started going back into that. I took Tai Chi, I took Qigong. I started going back and identifying all the uh, acupuncture points, and sort of collaborating it all. And the last thing that I want to say about that is, the term wounded healer. Well, I had a lot of traumas over my life. And so the person that really helped me through those traumas was a therapist who was trained in body based ways. So she really helped me learn to listen to my body, the somatic piece. And so I bring all of that together in my practice. Um, I listen to the people's stories. I try to heal their minds, their bodies, their souls. And that's where I am. And so I've been doing this for 25 years.
Right. So I want to understand a little bit more how that happens in the online platform. So someone would come to you. You say you listen to the story. Where do you take that? Where do you take it from there?
So, like I did that little bit of a sample with the brain. I, I first hear what brings them to healing or to coaching, um, and what goals do you want? And usually it's not goals like, oh, I want to be successful on Wall Street. It's goals like, I want to feel good, or I want to feel happy, those are usually what happens, it's usually the baseline of what we want it to be in the world. Is we just want to be happy. We don't want to feel so hurt, um, and traumatized and scared and anxious. And so, once I get to what is really their core need, uh, then everything is about respect. Like I ask them, uh, I would start, is there an area in your body that really hurts today? Let's give it some attention. A lot of times what happens is their whole life story comes out by just focusing on one area. And it could be something unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
So say, for instance, somebody has lower back pain. And so we do, some guided imagery around that lower back pain. All of a sudden, something right here on their chest, in their sternum, in the center of where their heart and their lungs and their immunity cells are, something comes, like a realization. I've been holding on to something here, something is hurting me here. And, once they have that realization, how much they're holding on to things or pushing things down,
Yeah.
and I give them space to let that go. And I give them tools, like a tool belt, okay, so your heart hurts, so let's like just hold on to your heart, whatever you just exposed or opened up to, don't push it away anymore. Let's hold it, even if it means just crossing your hands over that chest. And it's really like that, they say the mind the body remembers what the mind forgets. There's like a roadmap on your body. It will tell you the whole story if you give it a chance. And just giving space, um, or like I said in the earlier, give yourself a hug. Or if that doesn't feel comfortable, going in your armpits, putting your hands on both sides, giving yourself a hug. How many times, who teaches us that? We never taught to give ourselves hugs.
Mm.
It's so simple. Just give yourself a hug and, rub the points here. And it's really fascinating. The more I do this work, there are a lot of modalities that do the similar thing. So
Mhm.
even in psychology, there is EMDR, where they, work through some traumas. This hug, they do that. So they're finding, psychology and uh, body wisdom and healers we're collaborating, together to heal the planet.
Yeah. It's interesting for me. Today I was just going on my Twitter very randomly, and there was something there from someone that was definitely suffering a lot. She's suffering from fibromyalgia, and she said the eczema was playing up, and she was kind of listing a lot of symptoms and a lot of conditions that she was going through at the moment, and I was just kind of reflecting on how, well, I felt very sad for this woman, but it also was very kind of external, not actually taking it in, not realizing that there was so much that she could do if she went inside, if she understood, like, say, what are all these bottled up emotions, what is everything that we're not paying attention to. So, it was very hard for me to decide not to get in touch, not to respond to a message,
Yeah.
but I think that's what it is, right? There's kind of the norm, the expectation is really about all this fast life and expecting things to just solve themselves out in a minute, and if it isn't, then we have a problem. And then
Right.
on the other hand is what you are describing, which is actually giving a lot of space and respect and time for things to come up as they're meant to come. And it's just so, it just feels so special to me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You know, body wisdom is for me my own roadmap. I've had a lot of issues and challenges over the years, and the more I tap into my body and I listen, the more I realize, how strong I am. And the more, as the subject is, the more I have gratitude for the abundance of my life. I have gratitude for all that life has brought to me. Um, and It's funny because I told you that my middle name is Joy, but I'm embracing my own joy. I have joy. I have so much joy. And that's what this work brings to me, joy for myself, because I do this work on myself.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of healing struggles. Um, and the more I listen to my body and the more I do this guided imagery stuff, um, yeah, I heal. It's it it's truly fascinating. I will just quickly share one thing about my healing journey. So I had a very, very significant challenge called, well, here in America, I'm sure it's in England too. Um, I had chronic Lyme disease, and not one doctor could figure it out. I was starting to have neurological symptoms, pretty significant, to the point where I would get in my car and I had no idea where I was going. So there was inflammation in my brain.
Hmm.
So, uh, and nobody believed me. The medical community did not believe me, but I believed me. And so, really, how it started to heal, I started going for acupuncture, and it gave me some peace of mind. The acupuncture would calm my brain down enough that I would be able to uh, realize where I was.
Hmm.
And then I realized there, this acupuncture is onto something. There's something more. And I did a lot of exploring. Uh, I started seeing a lot of alternative healers and health practitioners.
Hmm.
And, but the best thing that I learned from all that is really how to listen to my own body. So it took a long time, but the inflammation in my brain went down. So the when you talked about the brain tumor, that's what I did to my own brain.
Hmm.
My brain was on fire. Um, I was suffering.
Hmm.
I had a lot of neurological symptoms that really no one could figure out, and I could have said, "I'm scared, and why isn't anybody believing me? Is there something wrong with my brain?" I mean, I went there.
Yeah.
But then I said, "Wait a minute. I'm a healer. I'm a coach. What I share with other people on how to empower themselves, how can I use those tools on myself?" It took a long time. It was like trial and error, tweaking and everything. But um, I can have the conversation with you today,
Yeah.
and no one would ever believe where I was, you know.
But
Um,
but I really like that, because that's kind of my thing at the moment, is that a lot, again, I'm going back to this idea that when people get, diagnosed with something, they just, it's like, I'll go to another doctor, I'll take another pill, I'll schedule another scan, another, surgery. But actually, at some point, when you understand that the conventional medicine is not giving you the results and the solutions that you want, open your mind, seek these other alternative, as you say, the healers, the methods, because I always say if one person managed to heal from your condition, others can too. It's like that. So look around. Even the most irrecoverable illnesses and diseases that we have around, even from that, people manage to heal. So if one person can do it, other people can. I don't know. It's of course it's also depends on the stage of development for each and every person, but I
Right.
really hope that people can get this message that there are other ways. It's not just about what we've been told about doctors and medicine and you know the instant solutions for things.
Right. No, I agree. I totally agree. I mean, it got so scary. Somebody wanted to do surgery on my brain and my skull. And something intuitively, it was the first time I actually listened to my gut. That's
Mhm.
another thing, listening to your gut.
Yeah,
So if we're talking about our bodies are wise, but my gut was like, no, no, no. It was like a big,
yeah,
stop sign in front of me. And I walked away. I didn't know what the answer was, but I said, that is not the answer.
right.
And thank God that I did not do that. And I, you know, I have compassion for other people who struggle for similar things.
Yeah,
I really do. When they are told the only answer is this, or take this medicine. And 9 times out of 10, you know, it, it, it doesn't solve the problem, because really, what is the root problem? Now, okay, I'm not dissing medicine.
yeah,
If you have an emergency and you got in a car accident or something like that, definitely you need to go and have emergency surgery. But what I'm saying is that um, a lot of it is fear, and the traumas that we've experienced. It really is the thing that's like almost having a chokehold on us. So a lot of times when I do the traditional Chinese medicine or the body base, I talk about speaking your truth.
mhm,
Your throat, your neck, and I that's a major area of my issues. Speak your truth. Say no when something is toxic, or say yes when something feels good,
mhm.
and embrace opportunities. I'm still here. I'm still talking. I'm still sharing. So I think I've had a level of success doing that.
Yeah.
I The things that I was told were so scary. I could have let them swallow me up, but I didn't. I started to really believe in my own abilities as a healer. Yeah.
No, that's quite remarkable. I mean, I know that, as you say, when you are in that situation and you have all of this information coming at you so quickly, and it's really, what do I do? And you made your decision, which obviously turned out to be the right one for you, and I really respect that.
Thank you.
And it's just
Uh,
time for us to really come to an end to this conversation. But I could speak with you for days, it seems.
Me
Um,
too.
so I'll just so thank you so much, Sharon, for being here with us today and for sharing your story and your wisdom. And of course, at the end of the conversation, I will put all of your links and everything. So if people want to get in touch, then they can. Uh, and
Sure.
and I'll just say thank you. Thank you again for being here with me today.
Oh, thank you, Einav, for asking me. This has been an honor, one of the best experiences that I've had. Thank you so much.
Thank you.